The Houston Texans had 6 starting offensive linemen on injured reserve throughout the course of this season. They lost their first 2 games by a combined 27 points. They have a rookie number 1 receiver, a rookie head coach, a rookie offensive coordinator. Even with all these new and broken pieces, the Texans are still standing at 6-5 and in the hunt for the playoffs for the first time in 3 years. Why is this? Well, because they have the greatest rookie quarterback to ever grace the game of football on their field. People doubted him because of some silly test score, but they were wrong. CJ Stroud has been showing us signs of high-level play dating all the way back to his first ever snap in college football, but there still have been doubters calling CJ too dumb to play quarterback.
I'm not a test taker, so I play football.
Of course, nobody expected this kid to come out and shine so quickly with a team that most experts predicted to finish last place in the AFC South. And honestly, those first few weeks of the season were rough on CJ and the Texans.
Video of CJ Stroud, the one thing you found very quickly is the pocket completely eroded. So a little bit of nerves, little anxiety, got a crowd on the road, don't have great offensive protection up front. It's going to be ugly. Again, it's teaching your kid to drive in New York City traffic. It's just fast.
All hell was breaking loose on that team, and it looked like more of the same old Texans after they had started 0-2. But then, seemingly out of nowhere, it clicked.
Victory, but I think the way in which he's playing right now, it's remarkable. And he set an NFL record for most completions without an interception to start a career.
In week 3, they absolutely dominated the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team most people had making the playoffs, and the Texans have not looked back since. CJ is currently in the Offensive Rookie of the Year and the MVP conversation, which is damn near unheard of. But CJ was not always viewed as this incredible once-in-a-lifetime quarterback. I mean, he wasn't even the first pick in the draft, not even the first quarterback taken. So how did a kid who was not even the best player in his class turn into a top 5 quarterback in under half a season? Coleridge Bernard Stroud IV was born October 3, 2001 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. He was the youngest of 4 children in his household. In middle school, his father was arrested on kidnapping, carjacking, and robbery charges and given 38 years to life. His father's arrest sent his family into financial debt, meaning the only way he was going to get anywhere with football is if he was good enough to get a scholarship. In his senior year, he was named Inland Valley Bulletin Offensive Player of the Year. Throughout his high school journey, he slowly gained interest from big-name schools like Georgia, Michigan, Baylor, Cal, Colorado, Michigan State, Oregon, UCLA, and USC, before ultimately deciding on attending Ohio State. His first year at Ohio State was nothing special. He spent most of the season as a redshirt backup for Justin Fields. He did, however, get one chance. He took one whole snap his freshman season and scored a 48-yard rushing touchdown with it. I mean, talk about making the most of your opportunities. 2021 is when CJ got his real opportunity to shine. Over the course of the season, he racked up 4,435 yards, 44 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions. He led Ohio State to a 10-2 record and an appearance in the Big Ten Championship, eventually losing but bouncing back in the Rose Bowl and beating Utah 48-45, with Stroud breaking both school and Rose Bowl records with 573 passing yards and 6 touchdown passes. He then went on to be a finalist for the Heisman and subsequently declared for the NFL draft after only one full season of playtime. The storyline for CJ Stroud during the draft process was not that he was some incredible quarterback, was not that he was good enough to declare after one season, was not that he had 4,500 yards and 45 touchdowns. No, it was he was not smart enough to be a quarterback in the NFL because he scored low on a cognition test.
Listen, CJ Stroud, again, on the field, #1 quarterback, no doubt about it. A lot of people I talk to in football, it's no doubt he's 1 or 2 when you watch the film. But the thing that I think is really hurting him is the low score has pretty much predicted failure.
This silly test really had people start to doubt his ability, even though he had already proved himself over and over by breaking every record he possibly could and being a finalist for the greatest personal accolade in college football. But of course, nothing's good enough to these media talking heads. When the draft came around, he ended up being the 2nd overall selection to the Houston Texans.
The Houston Texans select CJ Stroud,
taken just behind his childhood friend Bryce Young. The Houston Texans are a franchise that have been on decline for 3 years, with an 11-38 record over that span. They drafted CJ with the hopes that he could guide the team back into the playoffs for the first time in 3 years. The fans were also on the same boat as the team, praying that a 21-year-old kid could come into a brand new team in a brand new offense and be successful immediately. It's a lot of pressure being added to a kid in his first ever season of professional football, and those first few weeks this season looked like they were rough on CJ and the Texans. He looked like a rookie, and the team did not look like they knew what they were doing. Not only was CJ trying to learn a brand new offense, but so was the entire rest of the team. CJ was not the only new addition to the Texans roster. In that same offseason, they drafted him a new number 1 receiver in Dell, signed the new number 1 running back in Devin Singletary, signed a new number 1 tight end in Dalton Schultz, hired a brand new head coach who had no prior head coaching experience, and hired a brand new offensive coordinator who had no offensive coordinating experience, among other additions. The Texans organization was scrambling for something to fix their problems without having a clear path in mind. At least that's what we all thought, because after those first 2 lousy games, they went out and destroyed the Jaguars 37-17. They dismantled the Steelers 30-6. Came back against the Buccaneers and beat the AFC North champion Bengals en route to completing the turnaround of their season and getting to 6-5 with a real chance to make the playoffs. During this resurgence in Houston, CJ was playing like a 10-year veteran and MVP candidate, acquiring multiple records for passing attempts before throwing an interception and passing yards in a game for a rookie, as well as personal accolades like 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in that comeback win against Tampa Bay. CJ Stroud has been an incredibly impressive young star in the NFL and is easily the Offensive Rookie of the Year and potentially MVP, depending on how things shake out. He has an incredibly bright future ahead of him. Although I do love my Miami Dolphins, I must say that the Houston Texans are a team I am silently rooting for this season to succeed, because CJ Stroud is a player that I would love to see go all the way and do great things with his career. If you enjoyed watching this video and you want to see more player analyses or anything of that sort, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you thought down below.